Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now, here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Rich Goldstein here, host of the Innovations and Breakthroughs podcast, where I feature top leaders and the path they took to create change. Past guests include Joe Polish, Roland Frazier, and Mike Calhoun. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you to protect your ideas and products. We've advised and obtained patents for thousands of companies over the past 28 years. So if you're a company that has software, a product, a design, or a platform you want protected, go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com, where there are amazing free resources for learning about the patent process. And you could email my team at welcome@goldsteinpc.com to explore if it's a match to work together. You could also check out the book I wrote for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. I have with me here today James Dentley. James is an entrepreneur and an award-winning speaker. He has built massive organizations, including a publicly traded company, and has spoken in over 500 cities in 19 countries and given more than 7,000 presentations to nearly 1 million participants. James's superpower is opening minds, stretching the imagination, and providing his audience with growth opportunities that would otherwise be unthinkable without his influence. One of the things he's passionate about is sharing the gift of communication by training others to speak through his speaker training, Inspired to Speak. So it's really my pleasure to welcome here today my friend, James Dentley. Welcome, James.
Well, hello. How are you, Rich?
Yeah, I'm doing well and really thrilled to have you here. And so, let's talk a bit about background, how you got into entrepreneurship.
Wow. Wow.
I know there's a lot to your background.
I'm
an amazing story.
I'm going to narrate this, man. I'm really honored to be here with you and your incredible show. And I believe in IP, intellectual property. So everybody who's watching it, take it seriously, man. Dig in there. Man, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 5. Oh, my goodness. I'm not going to grow up. I'll be 65 in about 2 months. So I promise I won't bore you with that story. But I always knew that I was a person that was able to create revenue. If there was a need, by my mother being a single parent with 3 children, I'm the only boy. If we wanted to have anything extra or a decent pair of gym shoes, I had to go out there and create it. You know, she did the best she could, but I've always been a person that would find different ways to solve a problem and fill a need. And that was the foundation. So it's been, and without any exaggeration, I've had about 30 different companies. But I would tell you one of the thrills, and if you could ask me this, how did I become a knight and a grand prior and a Grand Cross knight as well with one of the oldest royal orders on the planet? And how did I get a doctorate degree and speak at colleges in front of professors with a D average through high school?
Yes, I would like to know all of that.
It's kind of funny. I tell people that going through school, I never got an A. Once I thought I had a B, but it was really 2 Ds really close to each other. I have an honorary doctorate in divinity. And as I grew, I had some mentors in my life because I was a risk taker. I always tried to open up business. Not tried, I did it. Open up several businesses, but I didn't know how to sustain. I didn't understand what it meant to grow and scale. So I learned from experience, which means you're on a roller coaster. You know, I wasn't afraid to take the risks. Some of them were big wins, but then I realized that I really just owned a job. When I read the book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, I realized then that I was going to the trap that so many entrepreneurs go into. So someone actually tricked me, Rich, back in 1994 after owning 20-something companies, and some I sold, some I walked away from. But someone tricked me into getting into the home-based business arena, and I hated it. I didn't want to do it. And I accidentally not only made 8 figures in that industry, but I also helped about 87 other people make 7 to 8 figures as well. And found I had a great gift to speak and to train. If I get the information, like if you teach me what you do, as an IP patent, one of the best attorneys out there, I know how to take that information, duplicate it, and help other people to follow that path. And I guess that was really, really my gift. But because of that and philanthropy, now I sit as a Royal Knight, and the whole focus through our efforts with our nonprofits and our foundations and that order is to try our best to tell our story and make the world just a little bit better.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess one of the things you're talking about there is integration, right? Where it's one thing to learn, but it's another thing to take it and be able to put it into immediate practice. And that's, I think, that sounds like you have a gift for integration, like taking your knowledge and actually putting it into use and being able to do what other people can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Once taught, twice learned. When I learn something new, I integrate it in my life right away. I absorb it, I become it, and then I teach it, because I believe you don't know anything until you can teach it, until you know it like the back of your hand. And then you know what the most precious part of it is? The more you know, the more you realize you don't know many things about the things you even know. And that makes you a seeker and an explorer. So always thinking there's a little bit more. We don't even know how an atom works. We know how it works, but we don't know what it is. We only know 10% of the atoms, 90%, we have no clue. So, I love the exploration part of just living. And Robert Frost once said, 2 roads diverge by the woods, and I chose the road less traveled by. I'm a little peculiar like that.
Mm-hmm. And Yogi Berra said, if you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Yeah, there you go.
One of the most, mysterious statements that, you have to go and ponder for a long time.
Yeah.
I want to bite in the sense that, tell me about how you became a knight.
Well, I've done a lot of work in philanthropy. I was on several boards. And there was a gentleman who was referred to me by 4 people that would come to my high-level speaker communication courses. And he told me about a gentleman, and I was already working with a United for Humanity, a celebrity-based nonprofit. So I wasn't really interested in some other stuff. And he called me up the next day and said, well, 4 people told him about me. And he just wanted to share a story. And I liked his story. I liked the guy, but I wasn't interested. And I said, no. So he hangs up the phone. And he calls me back the next day, saying, man, I researched you. I got to have you. I don't have a speaking slot available, but you're going to be on a panel. I said, well, who else is going to be there? And he said, John Travolta, Halle Berry, Quincy Jones, Russell Simmons. I said, Halle Berry, I'm there. So my wife and I went out with my vice president, Jose Baeza, went out to California, to Hollywood. We had a great time, and I can recognize, because I put on productions, I can recognize where he was at and what he aspired to really create. We became great friends, and he inspired me and said, look, we want to help you start your own nonprofit about 10 years ago. And we're going to get behind you. We're going to take you all over the country. We're going to help you raise money, and we're going to really get you out there. So through my work for philanthropy with that organization, working with a lot of high-level celebrities, I've got a lot of awards, and it just never stopped. I just did good work, not to get accolades, but to feeling good about doing something good, positive for someone every single day. So in recognition for my humanitarian efforts and my business efforts, because we've had a lot of success in business, a friend of mine came and said, he's a count, the oldest royal order in the world. And I said, really? And I had a lot of trust in him, and he brought me some documentation, and they asked me if I would like to be a knight. And I said, wow, a black knight, that'd be really cool. So I was supposed to go to Spain, and COVID hit and couldn't go to Spain. So I just kind of blew it off. And, okay, that passed. Maybe it'll happen again. And then they were going to do it in 2021. And then the prince couldn't get here because of COVID. So finally, in February 2022, they offered it, and they went to become a knight. My wife, who's a double scientist and physicist, is a dame on her own merit. And now, because they want to build the order out in the United States, I am the one of 3 grand priors in this country, and a Knight Grand Cross as well, which means I'm like the governor of Illinois. So again, it's really honored. It's Constantine the Great in St. Helena. And it's just doing some great work. But I got the big sword, Rich, with the monogram. I got the big, the cape, all that. It's really kind of cool. It's like a kid being a kid again.
Yeah. And now you're Sir Dr. James Dentley.
Yeah. My wife calls me that.
Yeah. No, that's quite a feat for your wife to call you that.
Hey.
For me, like to my wife, I'm just the guy who doesn't take out the garbage when he's supposed to, you know?
Yeah. Well, I get up and wash the dishes, so you got to behave. I'm well trained. That's what
Yeah,
it
exactly. I got to up my game. That's for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, so much for us to talk about, so much we could talk about. So in terms of serving people and in terms of inspiring people,
is.
one of the things you're passionate about is speaker training.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about that and what you do there.
Yeah. Well, it's really about helping someone find their space where they can be fully self-expressed, that you can speak not only into the listening of a person, but actually speak into their nervous system, to use your voice like the soundtrack of a movie, to be able to communicate and be so honest and so present and connected that people don't just hear you, they feel you, but also to understand the psychology of how does the brain work? What is an open loop? What is it? How you do anchors in the brain so people can retain information? How do you get them to listen? Everything in the world communicates, trees, water, everything. So how do you get a person to listen, not from here, but through every part of their existence to experience it? And then how do you tell your story in a way that you can take a person on a journey within themselves that they can never go on by themselves? How do you do that? How do you create that magic?
Yeah, and just you describing the process like drew me in, right? It's like, with your skill and even describing the process of what you need to do, it drew me in and I'm like, yeah, like how do you do that? And
Yeah, yeah,
which
it's real cool.
yeah.
The cool thing is you learn to do it in every part of your life.
Mhm.
Make that connection. Even in my household, my wife and I, we connect every single day. We don't miss, and just being present. And sometimes you get off keel a little bit, but you come back. You don't drift far out the way where it becomes an issue. You know how to come back and where to come back to, and be able to measure those things. But when you understand personality traits and understand the power of understanding that communication is 58% nonverbal. When you start getting that, they say, okay. And you start listening from another space as well. And it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. That is cool. And you have the experience to share with people having spoken in all of those stages and all over the past 38 years. Um, but again, there's so much for us to talk about. But one really cool thing that you've been doing that I can't believe I didn't even put it in your introduction is that you've launched a TV network. So JD3 TV
Mm-hmm.
um, is a TV network that's been live for the past year and a half and something you've been planning for way longer than that. So tell us about it and kind of what led you there.
Well, people wanted me to get into television for over 15 years, but I did not want to do it. I did not, but I thought I had a face for radio. No, I don't need to do that. I didn't want to go there. And plus, television makes you look 10 pounds heavier. No, we don't going there. And they kept encouraging me. And I realized that the people that were encouraging me to do it, they wanted me to do it for them. They actually wanted me to work for them, and I had no desire. I actually walked away from my employment January 13th of 1995, and I never had to work another day, and it had a very powerful residual income, and very rare you can sustain it. But finally, when COVID happened, I trained so many speakers, and they had no place to speak. And I'm at home with getting the hip replacement anyway, so I'm used to being. I've been home forever. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching television. I see all the talk show hosts don't have an audience. Everything was virtual. And because I understand technology and I built some things in the VR space before, I knew that the technology was going to be here to stay. But this is a time where this is all people had. Even Ellen DeGeneres, nobody had an audience. So I said, why don't I create stages for the people that I know that I've trained to speak, but now they have no place to go and they don't have a way to make money. It stopped for everybody. And, so I launched JD3 TV and I was able to take those speakers and thought leaders. If you're a great cook, how do we create a show around that? We live in an era now when people go on Instagram to just look at your food you're eating. or some whatever crazy stuff. People are so immersed in everyone else's life. And I believe that every life is important, every life is special. So why not each and every one of you who are listening to this podcast, if you're watching, listening, wherever you see it or hear it, you got a story to tell, and your story can impact someone else. And how do we help you elevate and bring it out and build out that bandwidth and that brand? So stories, whether you're a financial expert or if we have professional athletes, Hall of Fame football players, NBA champions. We've got a woman that's been through abuse, but she's got a story to tell, because especially today, Rich, so many people feel alone. Yep. You know, we have so many things happening today. So it's really about taking these stories and teaching people how to tell the story, but interview people, pull out their stories, and create things that are entertaining, educational, empowering, inspiring, and not those things that put a negative impression that creates a negative expression. Those things are not part of the network. And the biggest thing for me is that we have a masterclass. So now we have inside the network the movies from the people who made The Secret, from the Think and Grow Rich documentaries. All those things are inside of the network in our masterclass, and people have an expertise. They can put it there, and we can use that to help bring them leads. If it's a trusted person that we believe in, that we want them there, and we'll refer business to them and help make people better if they have that desire, because it's really about the relationships, and it begins in the languaging. So when you're around people that can inspire you, you start to, they say if you're smart, you can open up some few doors. If you're brilliant, you can open up a lot of doors. But if you're vibrant, the doors open up for you. So how do you become vibrant? Through these stories, through this education, and bring the hope and the possibility out in every life that owns that, so you can become vibrant and attract the things that you want to you, because your success is someone else's miracle. And when you decide not to play to win, somebody always loses outside of you. People are waiting for you, and that's what it's all about with the network. Have some fun.
No, that's fascinating. And one of the things I get from that too is that telling your story can be the thing that has other people feel not so isolated.
Yes.
So like it's not just about the professional athletes or the successful entrepreneurs. It's about the stay-at-home moms. It's about the people who have battled through adversity and came out ahead. It's like those are the stories that that there are other people need to hear. Other people that feel isolated in whatever they're doing, and they need to see the kind of positive possibilities of what can come from others that had been similarly situated.
Yeah, absolutely. In 1994, life was coasting along, and I hit a brick wall, and everything fell off. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Murphy's Law came to my door and moved in, and I was living in a car. And I remember in a Holiday Inn in a parking lot. Now, first I started with a Porsche, not so bad, a little cramped, but you look good. I blew the engine in the Porsche. And a friend of mine sent me a 1989 Buick Century, did it from front to back, windshield cracked from top to bottom. I had to start the car with wire pliers because I had no ignition. And I would go to different individuals' houses and say, "Follow me, we're going to get rich together." I would have my car 2 blocks away. And I'm sleeping in a Holiday Inn parking lot. And I pulled the cover over my head, knowing that I was going to create more success than I've ever done before, because someone else told me their story. At 24, they were homeless in a car. At 28, they were rich. And I remember Viktor Frankl, in his book, he wrote 2 men trapped behind prison bars. One man saw the mud, the other man saw the stars. So when you're faced with adversity, what do you see? Where you focus in your head? And I learned a long time ago, when things go wrong, just don't go wrong with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And okay, so then the network is a great way for people to connect with others, to connect through their stories. And if we move up a few levels from adversity, and like we move towards people that are having success in their business and having struggles, I know one of the things you like to speak about is high performance. And principles of high performance. So, I mean, do you think we could take a few minutes and talk about like the things that you figured out that really help entrepreneurs to excel?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you go through, you can choose to grow through it. And it uniquely qualifies you to be a guide for someone else who's struggling, because the struggle is to life. Like, I'm sure if a blade of grass had a thought process, it wouldn't want to be cut once a week. And just like a caterpillar has to struggle to get out the cocoon, but without the struggle, the wings don't develop fully. So the struggle is all a part of it. That's how we create the appreciation for things. And through the power of storytelling and sharing those struggles, you create access for other people. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I didn't stop. It was very serious. My levels were extremely high. And without chemo and without surgery, I was able to come through that. But my family, and it wasn't something that I had to put effort towards, I just don't stop. I don't get down. I learned not to be outer directed. The things I can't look, none of us are going to be here forever. How are we going to live today? Your life has meaning and purpose this day. And, when you're in these challenging times, that's a great time, because when you're in challenging times, we're a little more humble, we listen better, and we ponder. We seek the solution out of the issue, or we bake in the issue. So when you're having those challenging times, I learned that, like I said before, when the world goes crazy, don't go crazy with it. What is the next best thing? Number one. Number two, you change your life two profound ways. The books you read, not just listen to, but read, because you're activating different parts of your senses, and the people you spend time around. So how do you get around the right people? Well, your goals and dreams create separation. I learned that very early. If I have a goal in getting a better life for my family, or showing up as a better dad, or a better husband, a better friend, a better son, if I have that aspiration, then I'm in spaces where activity is happening. So you got to learn how to get in the room. So if I have aspirations to do something to make myself better, and my friend has aspirations and they want to do whatever they do, and it's not in alignment, we're still friends. You don't have to break friendships, but I'm going to be busy focusing on the things in the direction that I have. So most people don't have a direction because they have these feelings of not being worthy or good enough, or how do I do it? Well, it's not about doing it as much as it is becoming it. Read books, put things in your mind that feed it, that give you. My mother took me to see Peter Pan when I was 5 years old and never left me. I didn't want to grow up. I didn't want to go to school. I just wanted to play, and I still want to play. So it was always, because when you hit a rock, and remember, when you hit that road, when you hit the wall, you never hit rock bottom. You hit rock foundation, and that's the foundation is inside of you. Now, when you hit a foundation, no matter where it is, you build from that foundation. That foundation will be the structure that will hold you up for the rest of your life, that will solidify everything you've done. And you need the struggle to be able to own that, because you can impact so many folks' lives, because you can empathize, you can understand, but don't become it. There's always another day. There's always tomorrow, and just don't quit on yourself. There are people out there that can help you. We have success events. They have them all over the world. And why is it that in the board of advisors, for example, why do people go there? A lot of people there are already having some success, because they have to be around other people to keep them going, because life is like walking up an escalator that's coming down. If you don't keep taking steps forward, by default, you lose ground. Nothing stays the same. So I just learned so many different things about what it is, but it starts with reading, and it's by getting into the room and learning to serve. Just serve. Don't look at what you can get. What can you give? And if you do that, the doors will open up for you, because when the flowers blooms, the bees will come. And the bees are your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations for a better tomorrow, and the promise of who you were when your parents lifted you up and brought you into this world. There's promise inside of you. So, if you understand these small things and just hang around some more folks, read the right books, the language will change, and look up some events and say, how can I help? How can I serve? If you can't afford to go, then go and help and crew. Be close, be outside the door, be close to the event. And if you stay close enough to the movers and shakers in their vehicles, you can get the riches of your life, however you define it, by getting close and inhaling their exhaust. Then by the osmosis of it, you'll begin to flourish.
Oh, that's so amazing. Don't even know how to touch that. One impression that I got from that, though, is like the important thing is having your energy focused outward, like focused outward there toward the world. And like one notion that I believe in is abundance, where you're putting it out there in the world, you're expressing yourself, and you're not really watching to see how it comes back around to you, because you trust that it will.
Yeah.
And you don't have to keep track, right? So having your energy focused outward on how do I contribute, how do I go to the next step, helps keep you from being focused on maybe where the lack is. Is that fair?
Yeah, you are what you are conscious of being. I've lost everything 2 or 3 times in life, millions of dollars, but that did not define me. I remember, I had business, but I hated my life, and it imploded, and I had challenges in my first marriage, and I needed a few dollars, and a friend of mine had a beauty salon, and he's a great friend. And I said, look, I need a few dollars. He said, well, sure, I'll loan it to you. I said, I don't want a loan. I'll come and work for it. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, how about if I clean your shampoo room floors? And I knew that he liked those floors clean on your hands and knees, my hand. He said, you don't have to do that. I said, I want to do that. And I went there and got that. And it wasn't an ego thing where I felt like I had to, prove something. I just knew becoming someone different, that I can go out there and serve. And what happened is, in about 6 months later, everything turned around. I was making millions of dollars. About 6 months, the trajectory started changing. But the respect that he had for me, and he was like 9 years older, he still is, and the respect and love and the relationship we have for each other, because I didn't feel like I was less than on my hands and knees. I need to earn it, because I didn't want to forget who my mother taught me to be, who I am at all times, no matter what it is. Because, Solomon said, as the richest person in the Holy Bible, all the wives and concubines and all the gold, he said, vanity of vanity, all is vanity. I gained so much from learning to serve and to help, because money by itself will not solve it. Now, you want to get money out of the way as an issue. But when you do that, if you can make a difference in the life of somebody else, you move from financial independence to, I believe, financial significance, because you're not going to take it with you. But who you impact, and their children is part of the legacy.
Yes. Amazing.
Am I getting too deep?
No, it's great. I'm entranced, because you're an amazing speaker, right? And you know how to tell the story and communicate it and really touch people, right? So, yeah. Let me just ask you a totally different question. So about IP, right? So just what role have you seen through your businesses IP play in the success of your businesses, or in situations you encountered, or any of the above?
Yeah. I think my greatest pride and my greatest joy is that, not that I helped and mentored 80-something people that made millions of dollars. I didn't know they had to came to me and start counting for me, and not counting who they've impacted, but who they are as people. Who they are is so special. And we still have these friendships, and we still support each other and celebrate one another as well. And I think that is one of the greatest joys. However, all I did was teach what was taught to me by very successful people in business and in life. And they had to go out there and do the work. I was just a part of that. And it's just an honor, because at the end of the day, Rich, the greatest human need is one of significance. To know, why am I here? Does my life even matter? When you get past that, and you understand that something inside of you just says, there's more, there's more, there's more. Then you can embark on that journey and start to attract the things if you pay attention, and you'll grow into the space that you want to be into. And when you grow, you never want to stop, because it's not about the acquisition as it is the journey of it, the growth of it. So I think those are the most special things to me: my family, my siblings, my wife, my kids, the people, my friends, that we are like family, that we can get together and have a good time with no pressure, with no judgment, and just try to find ways to make each other and the world better. And that's what it's all about.
I love that. And, just incidentally, I don't think you, I don't think I made my question clear. I was asking about intellectual property. I love
it's IP. IP. Got it. I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to cut you off, because that's just Awesome.
I did hear you say IP. Yeah. With IP, well, I've written several books. My last one's 5 Frequencies of High Performance. And even with the network, we teach people how to protect their intellectual property. How do you do that? And it's very important because people don't realize that that has a great monetary value. And you want to protect that, because if not, somebody else will take it and they will create something that your family misses out on because you didn't. So you definitely have to do that. It'll keep you out of a lot of court battles. And if you do it properly, if you end up in one, it won't be if you're making. And there's a great chance that you can win from that. So, but most people don't understand really what IP is, the intellectual property is. But think about, okay, in our life, 80% of our life is driven by subconscious, 15 is conscious, the 5% is the imagination. So often we have a great idea, but we don't go forward with it. We write it down, we talk about it, then you see it someplace else. And if we go about the business of understanding how to protect it, then we will value it more. And we can get the guidance to really how to take that one idea. And even if it doesn't work, it can be attached to something else that will work. So intellectual property can be, you're an attorney more than I do. But even the names of my companies, I had to protect those trademarks and those. I've had patents for things that I've created. I've got books that I've written. All that's your IP. If you're teaching and training, you do something well, then get an IP, protect it. Because if you raise a great kid, then you have a formula. So find out ways that you can protect that information, because it's really invaluable. I don't know. Is that kind of more close to that?
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I just hire people like you, the best that there is, and do it. And if I don't have the money, then I come over and mop your floors on my hands and knees.
Oh man, I love that. And I love so much about this conversation. If people want to learn more about you or get in touch with you, how do they go about doing so, James?
Well, they can reach me by my name, Sir Dr. James Dentley, on LinkedIn. They can go through social media. However, the best way is just go to jd@jd3media.com, because someone else will be in front of those other platforms. So just come directly to jd@jd3media.com, or you can go directly to jamesdentley.com, which is my speaker and trainer website as well.
Awesome. I love it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview, to be on this podcast. You're amazing. Just thank you.
I'm so honored to be here. I tell you, you're doing some great work, and I encourage everyone who's listening to think about, let's use your imagination and then to call Rich and take your dreams and let them give it flight. You've seen enough right now that you have some ideas that some people won't think of. And it's important because you have the education, the experience, and the track record to help people avoid a lot of painful pitfalls that affect them and their family for generations to come. So thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.